Welcome back to the Patio Pioneer Podcast, where we're searching for clear thinking in complex agriculture. Agriculture has always been built by people who solve problems. Some solutions come from universities, other from full-line manufacturers, but many innovations that quietly change ag begin in a farm shop beside a piece of equipment that isn't doing quite what it should. The best entrepreneurs rarely set out simply to build a business. More often, they're searching for a way to solve a problem that can no longer be ignored. Today's guest has lived that journey. Brian Sieker is a Kansas farmer and founder of New Ag Supply. What began as solving problems on his own farm has grown into a business serving farmers across the country. But this conversation really isn't about planter parts or how Brian solved problems. It's about the mindset that turns problems into opportunities and why ag depends on people willing to build the next solution. Brian, welcome to the patio.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Brian, we're not afraid to jump right into tough questions here in the patio, so I'll start off. Before New Ag Supply ever existed, what was the problem that finally convinced you that there had to be a better way?
Before I moved home to the farm, I worked in the planter industry. I worked for Monosem and traveled for them and got to see a lot of different parts of North America and U.S. And in my travels, I got to see a lot of businesses that were very focused on planning. And when I got back home, there was some things I was looking for that we couldn't find locally, and I was going a long ways to find them. And then also there was solutions I was having problems buying here, and kind of felt there was an opportunity to bring some of the solutions to this part of the world and better my farm and try to do a little bit better with some aftermarket stuff.
With your travels with Monosem, surely the problems that you had in Kansas were not isolated to problems with Kansas farmers.
Oh no. I covered Canada. I covered Central America. The problems with farming are very consistent everywhere you go.
Now, working with Monosem, I think a lot of people would equate that to premier equipment, kind of the BMW, Mercedes, Ferrari of planting equipment. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, super accurate planner. Really focused on accuracy before a lot of the other ones really took that into account. And just very well built planner. I still use one on my farm. But it was very much desired by specialty crop farmers, high value seeds, things like that, more than your corn and soybeans and sorghum. But not saying there's not some sold there, but that's kind of where their market was and where they really shined with specialty crops.
Before you started with Monosem and were working around the farm with your family, were you playing with equipment and modifying things?
Really, not really. I grew up on the farm, helped a lot on the farm. I went to K-State and actually got a business degree. Started out in engineering. I didn't know if I was going to go back to the farm. I had the opportunity in college to work in a manufacturing processes lab, so welding, machining, foundry. It was a TA for a class that taught engineers, and kind of got really interested in manufacturing at that point. And then first jobs out of college were in industrials. Sold bearings. Was a sales engineer for a bearing manufacturer. Had like Agco and Case IH as customers. And that was a great experience of traveling and seeing how things are made. Seeing how things are designed, because I got work a lot with engineers. And then on the purchasing side, dealing with them and how they would try to buy so they can make money on the backside. I mean, a lot of times it's not how you sell it, it's how you buy it. And that was a eye-opening experience and kind of my opportunity to live out how it's made every day. I got to see a lot of stuff made in the central part of the U.S.
Well, just in a couple of minutes we've talked, you've been exposed to the sexy part of ag with singulation and the fancy monosem planner, all the way to the mundane and taken for granted of bearings. That gives you a wide cross section of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not all an easy thing. I When I had those jobs, I always took my vacation time to come home for wheat harvest, come home for planting wheat in the fall and fall harvest if I had time. Um, I enjoyed those jobs, but I I was constantly calling my dad every day I got off work and asking him what he was up to that day, how things were on the farm. And with the planter job, I think I was 100 to 125 days a year on the road. And then in 2013 had my first kid and was like, maybe I want to be home on the farm. So took the opportunity to move home in 2014. And that's, 9 years after I graduated college.
So you came back to the farm. What was the time or the moment or the frustration that said, I think I can do a good job of helping other farmers with their equipment challenges?
When I came back, I knew I needed to do something else to help supplement my income off the farm. I didn't want to just take from the farm. I wanted to kind of keep my finances separate and my living expenses separate from the farm. To try to be successful in starting out. I didn't really want to have a town job because then you're still beholden to someone else with your time. So I actually started out manufacturers repping and had a couple companies that I rep for and I tried to get dealers for. First one was Hitchstock. Then I had Pro Mags, which is the inventors of the open gauge wheel. That I became friends with back at Monosem. And, the short line with super strong mainline dealers in Kansas, there's not a lot of short line dealers. So it was a struggle trying to get dealers and get product moving, even though they're really great products. Eventually my friend Eric at Pro Mags was like, just sell the farmer direct. I was getting the leads. A lot of them were off Twitter. And made my first couple of sales selling parts direct. Soon picked up lines like Schaffert and Yetter and Copperhead and just kept trying to solve problems for farmers with short lines that they had problems buying except for direct from the manufacturer. So, I mean, it started out kind of as one of those things that was supposed to be really local. And then with the internet and Twitter, it just kind of took off and had a lot of opportunities to sell in a lot of different places.
You started in the late 2010s, and you dropped out some words or names that all of us that farm and think about upgrading our planter with Schappert, Yetter, Copperhead, open spoke gauge wheels. Do you think you were a benefit of that minor golden age of ag in the late 2010s?
Oh, absolutely. There was a lot of I mean, you could go to a dealer and buy stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot of those short lines online. Um, I would say probably till 2021, we might have been one of the few places you could buy some of those stuff online. And that gave me a lot of opportunity. You know, you hit COVID and there wasn't people at a dealership, but my website was still on. My phone still rang. I worked through that time when a lot of places were closed. So, I mean, it was a pretty wild time, and looking back, it was really fun. And, now there's a lot of competition in that space. It's a little different. I mean, my mix of what I sell is different, and, the world has gotten smaller. It definitely has, as far as the internet goes and what's available out there.
So as your business has evolved and the internet has become more entrenched in all of our lives and farmers are becoming better at searching for things, how have you worked to innovate to keep your business at the forefront of farmers' decisions?
A lot of it is, you know, working with suppliers, you know, staying on top of what's new that comes out, you know, negotiating prices with some suppliers that I can do it with, you know, trying to bring value. And then a lot of it here lately has been working with niche products, working with small farm entrepreneurs, that are trying to start their own business, and maybe they need help with marketing or distribution. Inviting them to come with me to farm shows. I mean, it has been a lot of fun to work with people that have a idea or a product and help them to be able to grow and watch them grow. And I mean, we've made logos for people. You know, with Mary, we've done all kinds of stuff. And here lately, that's been the most rewarding thing, is working with other entrepreneurs to help them get going with their business.
With what you've talked about, the unease that you felt, not unease, but the feeling of not wanting to come back to the farm when you were selling bearings and at Monosum, I continued to hear the entrepreneurial spirit in you. Have you always had that desire to do something on your own?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been in my thoughts, and trying to figure out, you know, something to do for myself. When you work for other people, you're doing their dream a lot of times, and you have to do it their way. I really wanted to do something for myself and for my family that, you know, if, you know, the farm is really my dad's legacy and my grandpa's. What kind of thing can I have for my family, for my kids to also come back to? Cause farming in central Kansas is not easy.
Understatement of the interview.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get to talk to people all over the country, and farming here is a little more of a challenge. And then you go another 100 miles west, and I don't know how those guys do it. I mean, that's a whole different breed of people in Western Kansas, Eastern Colorado, you know, the panhandles. I mean, yeah, I have a huge respect for what they do.
There is one trait that entrepreneurs have, and that is comfort in the unknown. How do you deal with that?
You know, I started my business bootstrapped. I didn't have money to start or throw in. I didn't get any investors. The only leg up I had was I had a farm shop I had a day job, and I had a skid steer for a forklift. Everything started from that. So, I grew really slow. Didn't really borrow a lot of money. So the security came by not overextending, and staying within my means. So, I mean, that helped me, but for the uncertainty, I mean, a lot of it's faith and believing that what you're doing is the right thing. And, every sale's an opportunity to treat that customer like they're the most important customer, and enjoy those relationships with those customers. And I promise you, if you're an ag entrepreneur, if you treat people really well, uh, they'll come back, and they'll come back with their friends. And that's the thing that I really strive to do. And I try to instill in the people that work for me, that number one is the customer, and how that relationship is, and how that, product works for them is very important. I mean, we got to sell good stuff, and we got to explain it well, and, stand behind it. And, that helps with the uncertainty, knowing that you've done your part on that side of it. And then the hope that what you do is the right thing, and it comes back around to you.
Since you're short line and you're selling products that you don't manufacture, how do you become confident that you're selling quality products that you can stand behind?
A lot of it we test here. I mean, my planner on the closing wheel side is a Franken planner. I mean, there's a little bit of everything on there. If it's say it's a product for, say, a John Deere planner, I'll find customers that test it maybe for a year or two before we run with it, before I market it. And some of it's just having that relationship where that you trust the guy selling to you, that they've done their due diligence, and working with people that stand behind their stuff. I've been very blessed in that fact that I've had some great suppliers, and having a relationship with them that, they trust me and I trust them. Some of them are some of my best friends. It's turned out to be, and I know they have my back on products. So if there's an issue, and there is issues, we take care of it the best way we can and as fast as we can. And that's really, as a farmer, I mean, stuff happens. I mean, I'm on the other end of it. I know how it works. I mean, you get something that falls apart on you. It's never at the best time. So if you do it the right way on the other side, again, it's them trusting both ways.
I think you use an interesting word with trust. And as we think about all the gadgets and items that we can put on a planner, are we farmers buying better technology and better planning, or are we buying just better confidence in what we're doing?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. There's a lot of improvements over the last 10 years with parts. There's been a lot of technology. I mean, I'm not saying like technology as far as like wires and electronics, but like how things are made that's been applied from other industries into ag. But the biggest thing for me is if I have a guy call in and he says, I want XYZ product, I've been using it, it's worked great, but I'm thinking about this. And I'm like, well, why? Why are you thinking that? Well, other people tell me that. I'm like, what you have's been working great for you. I said, you got a great product. Why put something different on there that you're going to worry about? Part of planning is getting done. And if you go to bed every night worrying if that part's going to make it through the next day, definitely not worth buying. Be confident in what you do. Do what's allows you to focus on the things you need to focus on instead of worrying about, your change in closing wheels. I mean, it's a minor thing after you've made the first jump.
A minor thing after you've made the first jump. I think that's great.
Yeah.
How often do you see us chasing minor improvements when we've already got the major stuff taken care of?
I mean, you could spend a lot of time and money chasing that, half a bushel difference. But we'll just use a closing wheel, for example, the rubber tire. I mean, you read Bex, you read all those guys, hey, this closing wheel's 8 bushels. I hate using bushels, but percent better, and then you can go and see you're making better seed to soil contact. Well, after that initial jump to a spike closing wheel, all the other ones, there's just minor differences. It's that big jump to the first where you get your advantage. And after that, you're chasing small stuff, but it's, getting to that big advantage first. And, I see that on the farm on the nutritional side, the fertilizer. I mean, man, there's a lot of stuff out there, and, you're chasing fractions of bushels. Well, sometimes that's not the way to look at it. You need to look at it from the other benefits of products. Just trying to do better as a farmer. And, you only got so many chances to do this. So, try to do a little bit better each time, but you never know where that's going to come from.
You're in sales. How do you deal with a customer that is constantly chasing something and the frustration rises and you know that they just need to not do anything?
Oh, it happens a lot. I've got guys that'll send me pictures of their stuff, and I'm like, give it another run. Give it another trip through planting season because you got enough wear to do it. Or trying to talk them down from doing something that might be more expensive. I mean, I take the view of what I would do on my own farm. And, that's not always, we're far from perfect here. But just trying to do what's best for the farmer and not always what's best for me. I mean, that's really what the core of my business is treat people how you'd want to be treated. And some of that time is telling them no. Tell them, I don't think that's a good idea. And that's not always good for business, but for me, it's good for the farmer. I mean, that's good for the customer to know that they can call here and they might get talked out of something. I mean, is that, I'm in this for the long term. There's guys that I want to do business with for 30, 40 years. Well, there's only one way to do that, and that is treat them right the whole time.
So you've gone through a full cycle of prosperity in ag as an entrepreneur, the minor golden age of the 2010s, craziness of COVID, and now, if you believe the ag media, it's a major farm crisis. How has your business zigged and zagged to adapt as ag prosperity changes?
The mix has gone from, I used to sell a lot of wants to now I sell more of needs. And you can see that in what I sell in my numbers. It's a lot less really attachments and more wear parts and wear components. And that's, it's made me change, not necessarily change suppliers, but bring on other ones and try to fill some of the gaps in what I sell. Because, let's face it, I mean, the budget tells you what you can buy and what you can spend, and you have to stay in it or you're not going to be farming. Well, if I stayed with where I started in more than once, I mean, it'd be really little. It'd be little ag supply, and I, you've got to be flexible, and no matter what you do, and you have to have a plan for good times and in bad. But yeah, I mean, this is a very much a challenging time. Margins are tight. There's, you got high input, low crop prices, with a bunch of weather both ways in between. So, yeah, I mean, we keep it very tight here on the farm. I've upgraded a lot less than I'd like to. But at the end of the day, you've got to be sustainable, and that's really what you got to focus on your farm.
Do you think the ag industry is in a, quote, crisis, unquote, because we're chasing wants and not taking care of needs?
No, I would not say that that's causing any much problems. I would say for like a manufacturer, doing new product, this is a very challenging time. I hope there's some companies that make it to the other side, and there's some that won't. There'll be some that will shock you that won't make it to the other side, or they're going to get bought by a big company. But on the farm though, spending's, I mean, at least from what I've seen, spending on things that maybe don't make you $1 back for $1 spent, or are tighter or more of a want. It's, those products that help or do one facet, but maybe don't return to ROI. We're not selling that well of. If it's not, core to that operation or core to that planting process or harvesting process, I mean, those products are down.
I was riding in a tractor several years ago, and the man was doing some work for me, and he pulled up his screen and he could watch the 2 combines on the other side of the county. And it's really cool that he could watch the 2 combines the other side of the county. But I thought, what does that have to do with you planting wheat right now?
Yeah. I mean, again, that is one of those things that probably helps your efficiency and knows, knowledge of what's going on. But I mean, I'll be honest, that's things that we haven't adopted here. Not a big farm relatively. That's, it's a matter of perspective, but, yeah, it's great information. Information's power. Man, I'd love to have John Deere Ops Center. I think that product's fantastic, but it's hard to do with red tractors.
Yes, it is. As I think about the landscape of the aftermarket supply businesses, how have you been able to compete with not having everything for everybody in one place?
A lot of it has been being focused. And then, I've referred my competition a lot. If there's a product that I haven't had, then it goes on the list of stuff I need to look for. None of those businesses that, I mean, you would say I compete against were built in a day, or were built in 10 years. I mean, a lot of them are 20, 30, 40 year businesses. Well, you just gotta have patience to get there, and then pick off and be the products that's smart for you to do. So again, it kind of goes back to my kind of slower method of doing stuff and being deliberate in what I do. But yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, I want to have everything for everyone and solve everyone's problems, but man, I try to avoid the goose chases as much as I can, but sometimes they're kind of fun.
You mentioned that your website was busy during COVID. How did you decide that the internet and internet sales was the way to go?
So I had Yetter sign me up with a stock order. They do that in June, and they sent me all this product to sell, and I got all the way to February, and I hadn't sold any of it. I was trying to sell on Twitter. I was trying to sell through ads. I was trying to sell going through some trade shows. It just wasn't happening. So that spring in 2016, I built a website. Sieker, it can be very hard to say and hard to spell. So went with New Ag Supply. Domain was available. That was a big part of it. I mean, the business name came out of a domain search, trying to figure something out that was easy to people to remember and find, and built a website, and it really didn't take off for a couple of years. I still remember mowing that summer, and I used Shopify, and it had the cha-ching that you hear on the commercials go off. And I'm like, what was that sound? What is going on here? And that was like June, and I built it 3 months prior. I mean, the internet stuff, it was slow to adopt because, you turn on a website, you're bottom of the Google search. It takes time for that momentum to grow. Especially at that time, I mean, we had Twitter, we had Facebook, but if somebody saw something on there or followed me, they'd reach out to me direct. They weren't going to a website. Now with TikTok and Snapchat and all those kinds of things, people are sharing links. We can post products with a link to it. And that drives a lot of the traffic to the website, and then just time and content, building your relevancy on the Google search. The next one coming is on the AI search. That's a whole nother set of challenges and thought process, and I've got to figure that one out still.
You've talked a lot about new products, learning new skills, working on the website. How busy did you have to get before you decided you needed help?
Growing up on a farm, especially growing up on a farm that does alfalfa, you learn to burn the candle at both ends. I've struggled with that, and it's hard to find people that want to have a job like this in central Kansas. And I struggled with trying to find the right people. There's some traits that I really want in people I hire and bring on. So I probably could use more help, and that would probably accelerate my business. But again, I'm very deliberate in what I do, to probably a fault. But the hiring is really hard. I mean, when you've done all of it yourself, sometimes it can be hard to delegate. I mean, a lot of farmers go through that too. And that's something that I continually strive to work on and get, when you hire great people, man, it's a lot of fun to cut them loose on stuff. But it's finding the right people and bringing them on and getting them trained. There's four of us running this business. So it's something that takes up a lot of time. But for me with planter parts, that's the winter and a few months in the summer, and then the switch flips and it's farming. So I'm 80-20, 80-20 business in the winter, 80-20 farming in the summer. So at some point it's going to be 100% all the time business, but I really enjoy the farming part.
What did you do mentally or with your family to be comfortable with letting go and knowing that somebody's going to do something a little bit differently than you?
It's just having trust and having people with the same values. I mean, you got the same values and the same mindset, they're going to do the things the same way you would. And the biggest thing for me is how we treat people. And you find people that treat people well, cut them loose and let them go. Give them opportunity.
Is it too simple to say that the farming and the products are easy? Is how you take care of people is the hard part?
Oh, the product can be very hard. I mean, finding the right stuff that works. How you treat people and how you do that should be the core of who you are. I mean, that's our Christian values. That's really how you should be every day in your life. But it's given me a lot of opportunity when customers aren't treated right somewhere else. It's unfathomable to me that that's how some of that happens.
Can you tell me an experience you had with a disgruntled customer that became a customer of yours?
A lot of it is that they lose the connection with the business that they have. There's been a lot of consolidation, especially on the dealership level. And at one point, they knew the owners, they knew the family that ran it. They saw them every day, and now they don't. And they want to work with someone that they know who's running that business and know who's going to take care of them. So I really, that's been a huge driver lately in my business is people wanting to do business with an individual with a family run business instead of a big, basically corporation doing their supplies.
What percentage of your customers are repeat, loyal, but you've never seen them face to face?
Oh, probably 50%. I've probably never met that I've talked to all the time. And then the other half I'll maybe see once or twice I've met some large customers this year for the first time. It's meeting them face to face is one thing, but we might be friends on social media for years and talk about things outside of business or farming but just never meet face to face. I mean, ag is it's really easy to make another friend in ag, no matter where they are or what they do. But yeah, I mean, the ones I've met at trade shows or something like that, or visiting out west delivering parts. Seems like I deliver more to like Southwest Kansas and the Panhandles more than I deliver anywhere else parts. But I would say probably half my customers I've never met face to face, just talked to on the phone of my larger customers.
That is one of the positives of the internet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without the internet.
There you go. New Ag Supply based in the internet. That is cool. I remember Ag Twitter, and Angie Setzer made a comment about old Ag Twitter on the other day, and I had to chuckle. It is amazing how Ag finds our little niches, whether it's a coffee shop, Ag Twitter, farm talk on TikTok. What do you think is going to be the next social media coffee shop for agriculture?
That I'm not sure on. I don't have a TikTok account. I probably should. I'm probably missing a lot of interesting stuff on there, and probably some stuff I don't need to see too. I mean, there's this can be a time suck, but man, old ag Twitter from I think I got Twitter in like 2011. I was still at Monosem at the time. Man, was it fun. I mean, just the characters. I mean, we were in a big bubble in a very little bubble inside of it. And like somebody tried to get in that bubble that didn't belong there, and they were promptly kicked out, or wanted to be out of the bubble very quickly. It was interesting. I really enjoyed it and got to meet a lot of people that way.
I would say 20% of the people I've interviewed came from Ag Twitter.
Yeah.
We got Corey Corn from Ag Twitter.
Oh yeah, Andy Clean from Ag Twitter. I mean,
that's right.
He built a whole business around a hashtag. You know, just wild stuff has happened. Yeah, Corey Corn.
The surfing farmer.
Yeah.
Or the water skiing farmer. Now, what has Quentin turned his into?
Oh yeah, look at all the speaking and things positive things he's been able to do from one tweet. I mean that I remember when that came out. I mean that was pretty. He had to have a lot of fun making that, and I don't think he would have ever known where it ended up going. But yeah, there's, like I said, you think back to some of there's some wild stuff that happened on there. And just characters that you would have never met or never came across. Like Celis out in Maryland. I mean, some of those guys that just, I've sold them stuff and got to know them, but I would have never crossed paths with them if it wasn't for Ag Twitter. And, it was it still is. It can still be a positive thing for, learning about stuff and learning how other people do things. I just wish there was a lot less politics on Twitter. I've got a lot of muted words. So there's probably a lot of people I don't hardly see anymore because I just don't see certain things on Twitter anymore. I muted a lot of words on there. Sorry, Canadians. Their politics. If a word comes up and I see it too many times, it's muted, and then some of those people have just disappeared.
It's a good thing we didn't have the mute button as prominent a decade and a half ago. Otherwise, Ag Twitter would have not become what it was, and still kind of is. And I think about that discussion on why do farmers turn around and not make square corners. And oh my God, wow!
It came up again the other day, and I'm just like, oh, that's a blast from the past. And you know, in philosophy, it was probably a sound idea, but in real world practicality, I mean, there's a lot of people that got real world experience from Ag Twitter. I mean, they got to learn real quick that things that work and shine on paper don't work in the real world. And a lot of it is, I mean, even practices. I mean, what you can do in Indiana, we can't do out here. and that's from like just talking to farmers, and then also the ability I had to travel earlier on in my career. I got to see a lot of ag in different places. I've seen ag in 48 states in like 7 Canadian provinces. I got to see a lot of crazy stuff that works there, won't work here. Math works there, math doesn't work here. But that experience allowed me to be able to relate and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And Twitter's kind of the same thing for a lot of people. They've got to learn about other places, and yeah, it's nice to get out of the bubble. My dad goes to the coffee shop every morning. I go to work. I let that be his thing. But I think when I have the auto steer on, I'm probably in my own coffee shop, reading and interacting with people.
The thing that I really appreciate about the relationships from Ag Twitter, and even before that, New Ag Talk,
yeah,
and a little bit TikTok, is you expand your area of counselors beyond your own area, and you can ask those stupid questions that if you ask the neighbor, they would call you Crazy Brian. Like, yeah. Don't rent a Crazy Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of things you'll do on the internet that you wouldn't do locally, and I guarantee it's changed a lot of operations for the better. Getting some insight or experience, or a relationship from someone that you would have not normally met or got to know. I mean, I got a farmer in eastern Colorado that grows alfalfa out by Cortez, Colorado. We were out on vacation one year. I had little kids; they wanted to sleep in. I went and visited him. Met him, messaged on Ag Twitter back and forth. Well, he introduced me to my current hay buyer. My guy retired, and we sold most of our hay through. And that relationship that is vital to our farm came through a mutual connection. He had a year that he didn't have water, so he didn't have alfalfa. Well, his buyer was looking, and he introduced him to me, and now all my hay goes through that same guy. I mean, that was a chance happening that I wouldn't have happened if I didn't have social media. And that's been kind of a huge thing. The markets and the opportunities for us on our farms have grown. The advice we can get, like an Angie, you can read her stuff on Twitter. Maybe she wouldn't have ever talked to a Kansas farmer about our crop or learned anything, and we wouldn't have learned anything from her if it wasn't for that platform. And that's it's super powerful. And I guarantee there's a lot of connections on there that this farm is sending this product to this place and stuff back and forth that social media facilitated.
Oh, without a doubt.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people that look at it and they're like, man, why are you on there? Why are you putting all this information on there? Or, your goods, your bads, your uglies. I mean, I'll put a little everything on there with my farm, and well, you never know what connection you'll make with another person that'll helps them or keeps them from having the same problem, or you learn from someone else's problem. I mean, man, it would stink to just be in that little bubble and never get out of it.
Oh, yeah. And if you'd have to rely just on what your neighbors or your dealer had for suggestions, and you just know what your dealer and your neighbors know.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be you'd go to farm shows and you'd go to stuff, and I mean, yeah, Louisville's still well attended, but a lot of the other farm shows are dying. I mean, there's not the crowd, there's not the vendors, there's not the suppliers. Uh, Commodity Classic does a good job of getting in stuff, but I had the opportunity to go to Agritechnica, and that's like a different world over there. That's where they go to learn all their stuff. We're we're transitioning to you go to the internet to learn your stuff, whether that's a TikTok or YouTube on how to, change a part on a tractor. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we use more internet, and it's probably more because we're more spread out than the rest of them. But yeah, it's the dynamics of where you learn and where you get your information is changing. Yeah, I mean, a lot less kids going to college. Even, I mean, that's that's more of a social thing even than learning. I hope they get that experience, but I hope it's not just the internet. Because I mean, meeting people and having face to face interactions is vital to being human. So, the world's changing. It's just how you put it all together and make yourself a round individual from where you get your information and where you learn, how you learn.
Since your customers can get virtually all the information they need about the product you sell, how has that changed your sales process?
A lot more just going online and buying what they want and what they think they need. I still love the phone call with the customer and going through learning about what they do and how they do stuff, what their soil types are, what their crop mix is, what their tillage practices are. I mean, there's a lot of questions to ask. And then matching stuff up. I mean, that's where I think I provide some value, is the ability to listen and kind of limit the options that they need to hear. And then also give them some experience of what works and what doesn't, what's best and what'll get them through to the next planter. You know what I mean? If a guy's trading, put something a little cheaper on. If he's going to run it forever, buy the best you can. Make it last as long as you can. So yeah, it's changed where there's guys more buying without the interaction, but my lasting customers have that interaction with me and know they can pick up the phone and call.
How do you have those conversations with a long-term customer that wants something, but it's not good for them?
That's where that trust goes in, and they know I'm going to be honest with them. You've got to be the one that they look at as an asset to their farm and an advisor, not just a salesperson. If you're just a salesperson to them, you're easily replaceable. So I want them to know they call me and trust what I'm going to tell them is accurate, and I have a reason for what I'm telling them what they're doing. So, I mean, yeah, it's not fun to talk someone out of a sale, but it's really fun when they call back and buy something else. It's just as rewarding. And you got to look at everything from the long-term perspective.
Did you look back on your over a decade of business, your experience with the internet, experience with face-to-face sales? What are some of the mistakes that you learned the most from?
Mistakes are costly, typically, whether it's not taking the best notes, sending the wrong quantity, or maybe taking the supplier's recommendation on a new product that's not tested enough. I'm dealing with one of those right now. It makes for some hard conversations, but you battle through them and you go the other side, and your mindset is you focus on making it better for the farmer and doing right by them. But there's been some challenges. I mean, when you start really small, it's hard to buy. So there's a lot of times I tell guys, hey, it's got to ship in. This is going to take a week. During COVID, hey, this is going to take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, half a year to get in. Those are, the more information you have from your suppliers and the more knowledge you have on it. I go around and I visit suppliers. I want to know what their building looks like. I want to know the people. I want to know who I need to call if I have a problem. Information is how you limit your mistakes and and then having a relationship with people. I mean, how I build a relationship with my customers, I want those suppliers to have that same relationship with me. That, hey, we got a problem. Watch out for this. I want that phone call first.
Mm.
If, hey, this is new coming out, I hope I get that phone call first too. So then I can market it and be prepared for it. So, I mean, it's all a relationship game. I mean, it goes back to just how you treat people and how you conduct yourself and do your business.
Well, you've used relationship and how you treat people all throughout this interview. How are you able to balance taking care of people as well as making sure that they have the best innovation that they need?
There's been a lot of times that I've referred people to other places, or maybe a manufacturer that doesn't sell through. The thing that you want for your customers is them to be successful. I think a lot of times in ag, a lot of companies forget if that business is not in business going forward, you might not do business with the next guy. So, if I don't have the best thing, I'm looking for it. But yeah, I really take that to heart that, if this guy's business and him being successful is the most important thing, because if they're not there, the next guy might only do business with XYZ, whatever company that is. So, do the best you can for them so they have the opportunity to keep going. Because, I make this statement with input suppliers, like, guys, if we're gone and we're not farming, is the next guy going to buy from you? And, I look at what's going on with some of our input stuff. There definitely was some profit taking, with fertilizer and stuff. And there's going to be suppliers that lose customers over it. You gotta keep your customer in mind as much as your profit, if not more, because the customer is the hard part to get.
Mm-hmm.
The business, once you get going, is the easy part. If you do things the right way and do what you say you're going to do.
Well, as we're on this crazy time with input supplies and ag media talking about how bad things are, what concerns you as both a farmer and an entrepreneur about the next 5 years?
Accelerated concentration. Smaller businesses not being able to compete. We're less independent than we were 10 years ago as far as where we buy everything. I mean, just look around and, the suppliers buying the small suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, manufacturers consolidating. I mean, we are in the barriers to entry for entrepreneurship. I mean, when I started, a farm show booth might be $500. Well, now it's $1,500. You know, everything's got more expensive, and you know, to start a business and go full time into it, and then figure out how to pay for your family's $25,000 in healthcare. I mean, the barriers to entry that inflation has caused, I think, is going to limit some entrepreneurship. So, I mean, I think that's going to be a big challenge because a lot of innovation comes from entrepreneurs. You know, I don't necessarily consider myself an innovator. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I really look up to in this business that made it possible for me. You know, like Paul Schaffert, for example. I mean, he got people thinking about aftermarket parts before aftermarket parts was a thing. And there's a lot of other suppliers that did that. They were the innovators. I just hope there's the next round of them. And that's, you know, like I talked earlier about, like, some of the most fun things I do is helping other entrepreneurs, and they might be an idea or a person or a manufacturing person and not necessarily a sales and marketing person, and matching my skill set to their product and their innovation. It's a lot of fun to do. I mean, it's rewarding watching them be successful with it. And honestly, like, for me, a lot of those have came from, some of them came from Twitter relationships there. Some of them are references from people I've met through Twitter. And that's what I hope, is that we, you know, over the next few years, that entrepreneurship thrives and the innovation comes from those kind of people, because they're the ones with the real world experience a lot of times on the farm.
Consolidation. Do you think the mid-sized farmer can compete and remain?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be more resourceful. They got to do a better job of buying. Your profit's not always made on how you sell or how well you do growing. It might be on how you buy your inputs, or that can be the parts to the fertilizer, the chemical. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that, and there's going to be a lot of smaller farmers go out, especially this part of the world, because they weren't focused on their buying. And honestly, a lot of them aren't, as focused on the selling side either. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I do a horrible job marketing. I also have a hard time paying attention to it. So it's probably something that I need more help with. But I mean, we all have our things we can work on and do better on. But you have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's in this market to be sustainable and keep going. You know, with drought or flooding or whatever it would be. I mean, you've got the things you control, you got the things you can't control, and you got to be prepared for both.
So you've realized in your time as a entrepreneur on a new ag supply and through your farming that you're not good at everything.
No, absolutely not. That's if you're perfect at everything, you probably should be on an island somewhere, or living in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, at 43-year-old, you should be done. I mean, but, you know, we all have our chances to learn, our chances to do better. And that's what I think is exciting about ag. I mean, you have the guys talk about they have 40 crops, but, man, it's exciting to think about what you could do better for the next crop. And how, you can continuously do better and learn from other people. I mean, that part, I mean, to me is exciting, and there's something new every day to learn. And, sitting at a desk in a job that, I just don't think I could do that anymore. I don't know if I could ever go back to that. So I mean, we got quite the opportunity in ag. It's just a matter of if you want to do it and if you want to continue to be better and strive for that.
If you were on a panel, say Delaney Howell said, "Hey, Brian Sieker, I'm putting on this program. I want you on a panel to talk to budding entrepreneurs." What would be one or two nuggets of wisdom you would share with them?
Definitely to have patience, knowing that things don't happen overnight. And definitely not be afraid to reach out and talk to other people and learn from as many people as you can. The network will carry them if they build it. That is a huge thing for entrepreneurs to learn. Is it's not necessarily what you have; it's who you know and who you rely on for that information can be huge for your business. I mean, you can make one mistake early on, and you better be on to the next idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also have purpose. You know why you're doing what you're doing. Remember why you started, and keep those values and those, your purpose forefront in your business every day and what you do.
I thought we were about done, and then you just said what you said. I want to dive into that just a little bit more. Having purpose, is that something that some of ag has lost just because they keep doing what they did because that's what they did and that's what they do?
There's probably some truth in that, but doing what you did and how you did it is how you got there and how maybe your farm got to this point. So it's hard to discount everything that was done in the past. Yeah, there's opportunities to do better, but having knowledge of what was done before and looking at that and asking yourself why is kind of important. I mean, we do some things that especially in wheat production that guys in the Dakotas probably frown upon a lot. Working wheat stubble and doing tillage, but we're gonna have a whole week here where we can't spray. So, am I gonna let the weeds get 3 foot tall before I can spray again? No, I'm gonna go out there and work them because it's going back to wheat. It's just, but you've got purpose, you have a goal, and you got to keep focused on those goals and having a purpose of, either, having that farm for the next generation or providing for your family. I mean, if you don't have a purpose, I mean, you're just going through motions.
Just going through the motions. And how many times in our lives have we been sitting around at the end of the day and thought, I just went through the motions today?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of motions that have to happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's you or someone else, they just have to happen.
You're right. Sometimes going through the motions is a win.
Yeah.
Brian, this has been a great conversation, and getting a new insight into another entrepreneur, how you made your jump from a highly precise planner in the Monosim into being an entrepreneur and starting New Ag Supply has been a great conversation. We end most of my conversations with 5 different questions. Our first question is, what is one lesson from ag you carry with you every day?
I know you get this one a lot, and for me, it's work ethic. A lot of times you get out what you put in. When I interviewed for jobs, outside of ag, and you have 8 years of working on a farm before you're 20, you're very desirable. And I try to instill that with my kids that, you guys have a great opportunity in whatever you do. If you build a worth ethic and you show you can work, you're the most desirable employee out there. And that's a benefit of ag, and it's also a detriment to ag. I mean, we lose a lot of, great minds to other industries because of our work ethic and their desire to have farm kids.
The brain drain isn't just because people want to leave, it's because they're pulled away.
Correct. I mean, we're really good at exporting our children, especially out here in Kansas.
If you could have coffee with any historical figure in ag, who would it be?
So, I would say like fruit and nut production is also ag.
Mm-hmm.
I got an opportunity to read a book a couple of years ago, and I say read, listen to on the tractor. And it's Sam Zamuri, the Banana King. The guy started like selling almost ripe bananas and then turned into owning one of the largest fruit producers, built farms in Central America, was involved in overthrowing governments. I mean, the guy was just a serial entrepreneur. He was hyper focused on bananas, but I would like to hear his stories of how he built his business and how he did that, because it's just a wild story. So.
Bananas finally made it to the patio. That is a great answer, Brian.
If nobody's ever read How a Fish Ate a Whale, it was recommended to me, of course, on Twitter. But it's a great book. I mean, for an entrepreneur, like, especially one that is a little more aggressive on this on entrepreneurship, it's a great book to read.
What is one quirky or underappreciated thing people should know more about?
I think they need to know how small ag is. I don't think people outside of ag quite understand how small the world it is and how well connected we are. It is, what do they say? You're 4 steps away from Kevin Bacon or whatever it is. Well, I think in ag, it's probably 2. You're probably 2 steps away from knowing someone that knows you. So you really got to watch what you do, because you have one reputation. It can catch up with you, good or bad, no matter where you go. So that's what I think other people need to realize about ag, is how small and how connected we are.
Definitely. What's your favorite ag-related tool, product, or innovation?
I would say the biggest one for me has been GPS. And the reason, efficiencies and like straight lines with alfalfa, cutting wheat, those kind of things. But it has given me the opportunity, to actually run a business from a tractor, or a swather. I've sold a lot of equipment and a lot of parts, from a smartphone on a piece of equipment. So without GPS, I mean, you'd have a hand on the wheel. You want to be able to do those kind of things. So yeah, there's stuff that have more benefit to ag, but for me personally, that's been my favorite one.
And the last one, what is one small change that can make a big impact in agriculture's future?
I wish more people were more worried about the well-being of their neighbors. Talking with your neighbors, talking with other farmers. This is a pretty rough time in ag for a lot of people. Just being a person and being human to people. And it's not just being neighborly, but suppliers treating people the way they want, or trying to have a long-term focus. And I wish more people would just communicate better with each other. I think that's a big thing ag needs to really work on.
Take some lessons from the FFA speech. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them, and then remind them what you told them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Brian, those are great answers. And you've broached the subject of fruits and nuts, the Banana King. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, Jam, I got one request for you, though.
Uh-oh.
When you close out the podcast and you have your rain falling on the porch, run it for an extra 20, 30 seconds for us out in Kansas, okay?
I will. I can totally keep the rain falling for you. Brian, you've used some words that a lot of people need to hear more of. Having purpose, asking why, communicating with your neighbors. This conversation's gone places we didn't expect it to. And I sure appreciate the time you dedicated to spending some time on the patio with us.
Thanks again for having me.